The world is a stage, and most people are wearing a mask they bought at a discount. If you want to rule your circle, you have to stop looking at the mask and start looking at the hands. Machiavelli taught us that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. To read someone instantly, you have to realize that their words are usually a smokescreen. Most people use virtue as a shield. They talk about fairness and teamwork because they are too weak to take what they want openly. When someone speaks loudly about their honesty, keep your hand on your wallet. The more they try to sell you on their character, the more they are trying to hide the debt of their soul. You don't read people by listening to their script. You read them by watching where their script trips over reality. Think about that friend who's always just checking in on your new business or your relationship. They sound supportive, right? They use the language of a brother, but their timing is the tell. They only call when they smell blood in the water or when you've hit a milestone they haven't reached. Look at their eyes when you tell them you're winning. If you see a flicker of tightness, a quick look away, or an immediate change of subject to their own problems, that's not friendship. That's a scout looking for a weakness to exploit later. They want to be close to you, not to lift you up, but to ensure you don't get too high above them. Your fix here isn't to call them out or start a fight. That's amateur. It alerts the prey. Instead, feed them a fake piece of bad news. Tell them you're struggling or that a project failed. If they relax, act overly comforting, or suddenly have no time to help once they think you're down, you've caught the wolf. By playing the victim, you force them to drop the mask of the supporter. Once you see the rot, you don't cut them off immediately. You keep them at a distance, using them for the low-level tasks while never letting them near your true vault. People also mask through politeness. Machiavelli knew that men are ungrateful, fickle, and deceptive. When someone is being excessively polite, they are trying to put you in their debt without spending a dime. They want you to feel rude if you say no to their next request. They use etiquette as a cage. When you encounter this, your counter-move is to be intentionally, slightly blunt. Break a social rule. See if they can handle it. If they scramble to maintain the polite facade, even when you're being difficult, they are desperate for something from you. They are not your equal. They are a hunter hiding in the tall grass of manners. You get out of the trap by refusing to value their kindness. Treat their politeness as a technicality, not a favor. Another layer of the mask is busyness. People pretend to be overwhelmed to look important or to avoid accountability. "I'm so slammed" is the mask of the incompetent. They want you to think they are a lion of industry, but they are just a hamster on a wheel. If you need to know if someone is actually powerful or just posing, give them a small, high-pressure deadline. The powerful will either delegate it or kill it. The poser will whine about their schedule. Your bypass for this person is to stop asking and start demanding. Force them into a corner where they have to deliver or admit they have no weight. Reading the man behind the mask is about pressure. You don't see the true shape of a person until you squeeze them. Only when the nice guy mask cracks do you see the teeth underneath. Once you see the teeth, you know exactly how to muzzle them. Once you've seen the mask, you need to see the nerve. It's one thing to know a man is lying. It's another to know exactly where he breaks. To own the room, you have to stop being a spectator and start being the one who pulls the trigger on the tension. People are like cities. They have walls, and those walls have cracks. Machiavelli said a prince should be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Most people spend their lives trying to look unshakable, but everyone has a flinch, a split-second reaction to a threat they didn't see coming. To read someone instantly, you have to create a small moment of chaos. You don't do this with a punch. You do it with a word, a look, or a sudden change in the atmosphere. Imagine you're in a high-stakes meeting or a tense negotiation. Everyone is playing their part, sitting tall and using professional voices. To find the real power, don't look at the guy talking the loudest or the one at the head of the table. Look at the others when a difficult, ugly question is dropped like a bomb. Who do their eyes dart to for permission to speak? Who suddenly starts fiddling with their pen or adjusting their tie. That's the flinch. It's the physical leak of an internal panic. The man who looks at someone else is a subordinate. The man who stays still is the target. If you're the one being pressured, and you feel that heat rising in your chest, your way out is to lean forward into the discomfort. Don't pull back. By moving closer to the source of the pressure, you short-circuit their expectation of your fear. You turn your flinch into a strike. The flinch also tells you what a person is hiding. If you mention a specific name or a rumor you heard, and their eyelids flutter or their breathing shifts, you've hit a nerve. Machiavelli knew that men are driven by two things: fear and interest. When someone flinches at a topic, you've found their fear. Now you have a handle to turn them. Think about a partner who claims they've been loyal. Don't ask them if they've cheated. That's too easy to deny. Instead, casually mention you saw someone who looked just like them at a place they weren't supposed to be. Don't give details. Just watch the flinch. If they demand to know who, where, when, with an aggressive edge, they aren't offended. They are terrified of being caught. They are trying to gather intelligence to fix their story. Your maneuver here is to stay vague. Give them nothing. Let their own imagination do the interrogation for you. You get the truth not by dragging it out of them, but by letting them trip over their own shadow. In any social circle, there's always a bully who uses aggressive humor to keep people down. They poke and prod to see who will fold. If you want to read if they are actually a lion or just a loud-mouthed sheep, you have to test their chin. Next time they make a joke at your expense, don't laugh and don't get angry. Just stop talking, look them dead in the eye, and ask them to explain exactly why that's funny. Watch the flinch. They will try to play it off as just a joke, but the stutter in their voice tells you they can't handle real confrontation. Your exit strategy from their influence is to hold that silence 3 seconds longer than is comfortable. You've just read their entire power structure. It's built on the silence of others. Once you break that silence, they have nothing. You don't need to win a fight. You just need to show the room that the lion flinches at the first sign of a real backbone. Reading the flinch is about knowing that everyone is a coward about something. Once you find the trigger, you own the person. You don't have to be the strongest. You just have to be the one who doesn't blink when the pressure is on. Once you've made them flinch, you've found the crack in the wall. But to keep the city, you need to know what fuels the engine. It isn't vibs or friendship. It's the cold calculation of what they stand to gain or what they're terrified to lose. Fear versus love. The ultimate metric. Machiavelli famously wrote that while it's nice to be both, if you have to pick one, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Why? Because love is a fickle emotion held together by a chain of obligation that men break the moment it suits their interest. But fear? Fear is held by a dread of punishment that never leaves them. To read someone instantly, stop asking if they like you. Start asking, what are they afraid of? Every person you meet is a slave to a specific terror, losing their status, losing their money, or being exposed as a fraud. Once you pinpoint the nightmare they're running from, they become a puppet and you hold the strings. Think about the mentor or the boss who acts like a cool older brother. He takes you out for drinks, calls you family, and says he's got your back. He's selling you the love metric. But watch his face when you get a better offer or when you start getting more attention than him in a meeting. If his smile doesn't reach his eyes, or if he starts dropping subtle reminders of everything he's done for you, his love is a leash. He doesn't want you to succeed. He wants you to be a loyal satellite orbiting his ego. He's driven by the fear of being eclipsed. If you're being squeezed by a person like this, your counterplay is to stop being grateful. Start becoming necessary. Make yourself the only person who can handle a specific, vital task that keeps him looking good. You flip the script by making him fear losing your labor more than he loves his own vanity. You stay safe by making his success dependent on your silence. You can read a person's entire hierarchy, by watching who they offend and who they appease. If a man is rude to a waiter but crawls on his belly for a CEO, he isn't respectful. He's a coward who only understands the language of the whip. He doesn't value people. He values the power they hold over him. If you find yourself dealing with a snake like this, don't try to win him over with kindness. He'll mistake your warmth for weakness and bite you. Your tactic for control is to project an air of quiet consequence. Mention casually that you're close with someone he actually fears. You don't have to brag, just let the name drop like a heavy stone. Watch how fast his tough guy act dissolves into stuttering compliance. You get out of his shadow by becoming the shadow of someone bigger. Most people are terrified of being alone or being laughed at. They will betray their own values just to stay in the in crowd. You can read this social fear by looking at who someone looks at after they make a joke. If they immediately scan the room for the leader's reaction, they are a follower who can be bought with a nod or crushed with a frown. If you're stuck in a group where everyone is a yes man to a toxic leader, your maneuver for dominance is to be the only one who doesn't laugh. By withholding the love or the laugh, you create a vacuum of fear or silence. The leader will suddenly feel exposed, and the followers will start looking to you to see if the wind is changing. You read the room by being the one thing they can't predict. In the end, reading people through the lens of fear versus love isn't about being a monster. It's about being a realist. People don't do what's right. They do what's safe. If you want to know what someone will do tomorrow, don't look at what they promised today. Look at what they are too scared to lose. Once you know their price, you know their soul. Once you understand what they fear, you've mapped their internal borders. Now you need to stop listening to what they say they'll do and start seeing what their body is already committing to. A man can rehearse a lie for a week, but his nervous system hasn't had a single rehearsal. A common mistake is thinking people are complicated. They aren't. They are predictable individuals driven by immediate self-interest and physical comfort. Machiavelli noted that men are so simple and so much the creatures of present circumstances that the deceiver will always find someone who is willing to be deceived. To read anyone in seconds, you must become a cold observer of the micro-leaks. These are the tiny physical tremors that happen when a person's lizard brain contradicts their civilized mouth. While they are busy weaving a tapestry of words, their feet, their hands, and their posture are screaming the truth. Imagine you're sitting across from a partner or a client who says they're all in on your deal. They're nodding, they're smiling, and they're saying all the right things. But look down. Are their feet pointed towards you, or are they angled toward the exit? Is one foot tapping a restless rhythm? If their body is angled toward the door, they've already left the room in their mind. They are just waiting for a polite window to bail. If you're stuck in a negotiation that feels like it's stalling, despite the positive talk, your pivot to power is to stop selling. Stand up, pack your bag and say, "It feels like we're not quite there yet. Let's pick this up when the timing is better." By being the one to kill the interaction first, you seize the lion position. You force them to either chase you, proving they actually want the deal, or let you go, saving you months of wasted breath on a ghost. People also leak their true status through space. Machiavelli knew that a prince must always maintain his dignity. A person who is constantly touching their face, adjusting their clothes, or taking up as little space as possible is broadcasting their submission. They are afraid of being noticed or judged. On the flip side, someone who sprawls out, touches your things without asking, or leans back with their hands behind their head is trying to mark territory. They aren't relaxed. They are asserting dominance. If you're being stepped on by a space invader like this, don't just sit there and take it. Your maneuver for respect is to place an object, your phone, your keys, or your coffee, directly into the space they've claimed. It's a silent, non-aggressive way to say, "This is my ground." Watch their reaction. If they bristle, they're a bully you can easily tilt. If they move, they respect the strength. The ultimate cold observation is the blink rate. When someone is under the stress of a lie or a hidden agenda, their eyes work overtime. If they are staring at you without blinking, they are overcompensating. They've read somewhere that eye contact means honesty, and they're trying too hard to sell it. If they are blinking rapidly, their brain is overheating trying to keep the story straight. When you sense a lie, don't argue. Your trap for the truth is to ask a question that requires a visual memory. Like, what color was the carpet in that office? A liar has to build the image, and you'll see their eyes shift in a way that doesn't match a natural memory recall. You read the man by watching the machine break under the weight of the fiction. In the end, cold observation is about removing your own emotions from the equation. You aren't looking for a friend, you're looking for data. Most people fail to read others because they are too busy worrying about being liked. A Machiavellian observer doesn't care about being liked, they care about being right. Once you've mastered the cold observation of their physical leaks, you have to accept the darkest truth of all. Everyone is playing you. If you go into a room thinking someone is on your side because of a shared history or a nice smile, you've already lost. To rule, you must operate on the assumption that every hand extended to you is either a reach for help or a reach for your throat. In the end, reading people isn't about being a psychic. It's about being a strategist who understands that loyalty is a luxury most people can't afford. Machiavelli believed that a wise ruler should follow the paths trodden by great men, and the greatest men were those who watched and waited while others talked. To read someone instantly, you have to treat every interaction like a chess match where the other player is trying to hide their pieces. You don't trust their words, their tears, or their promises. You only trust the patterns of their past and the pressure of their present needs. Imagine someone approaches you with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They've done their homework, they know your name, and they're offering you a seat at the table. It sounds like a gift. But a Machiavellian mind asks, why me, and why now? If you can't see the catch, you are the catch. They are reading your greed to blind your judgment. They want you to feel special, so you'll stop being smart. When you feel that rush of excitement from a stranger's offer, your escape route is to go dead cold. Ask them for a tiny, boring technical detail, something so unscripted that a liar hasn't prepared for it. Show me the last 3 months of line item expenses for this specific department. Watch their face. If they stall, get insulted, or try to circle back, they were never offering you a seat. They were offering you the bill. You get out of the trap by being the most boring, detail-oriented person in the room until the predator gets frustrated and finds an easier mark. Most people are good only because they lack the opportunity to be bad. Machiavelli warned that men will always prove untrue to you unless they are kept honest by constraint. To read a friend's true loyalty, you have to look at what they do when you aren't looking. If they are quick to gossip about others to you, they are already gossiping about you to others. It's a law of nature. If you find yourself surrounded by friends who seem a little too interested in your private business, your safety protocol is to feed them controlled secrets. Give them a piece of juicy, fake information and see how long it takes to travel back to you. When it does, you've just mapped the plumbing of your social circle. You don't get angry, you just know who to keep outside the inner wall. The ultimate level of observe everyone is watching the people who are invisible. How does your rival treat the secretary? How does the humble leader act when they think the cameras are off? You read the true nature of a person in the moments they think don't count. If you're being pushed into a corner by someone who seems perfect, your way through is to find their unobserved vice. Everyone has one. Once you see them when they think they're alone, you don't just read them, you own them. You move from being a student of their mask to being the master of their reality. Trust is a weakness. Observation is a weapon. Use it to ensure that while they are busy trying to read you, you've already finished their final chapter. If you've made it this far, you're no longer a spectator in the game of power. You're a player. But understanding the mask is only half the battle. Knowing how to wear it yourself is where the true dominance begins. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell icon if you're ready to stop being the one who gets read and start being the one who writes the rules. We don't do motivation here. We do strategy. We break down the cold, hard mechanics of human nature that they don't teach you in school because they're afraid of what you'll do with the information. If you found a specific tell in this video that reminded you of someone in your life, drop a comment below. Keep it cryptic if you have to, and let the community know how you handled it. We're building a network of foxes and lions who see the world for what it really is. Smash the like button to signal to the algorithm that this isn't just noise. It's intelligence. The world is full of people waiting to be deceived. Don't be one of them. Observe everyone. Trust no one. And always be the one who moves the pieces. See you in the next one.